Well, I'm now flat on the face on the floor, so I can't really do anything.
Previously on Ludroelor.
I found a visual aid for you. How about that?
That's more like
Now
it.
I've got even less space to have my character sheet.
All he's talked about was deer. I don't know.
Hello, dear person?
Hello. Where's the deer?
Why would someone put us on a boat?
I don't think it was out of an act of kindness.
As you try and stealthily get towards the door, you trip over the chains you've just unlocked, forgetting that you dropped them on the floor, and clatter into the door.
And now, the adventure continues. Welcome to Ludroelor.
Okay, I have a listen, see if anyone's heard.
You can already tell most of the people in the next room are just fast asleep.
So they didn't hear the elf falling to the floor over the chains, and the door
Or the
slamming open,
dwarf shouting.
or the dwarf shouting.
It seems like the guy next to you didn't really wake up for a while.
True. We're on a ship with pretty deaf people in general.
It's
So.
the loud noise of the sea plus the rocking of the boat.
You get the feeling that these people are just tired. They spent. You get the feeling. You also get the feeling that you're kind of some of the more recent additions to this particular ship.
Okay, I'll carefully bring up my flame again, but like hide it in my hands.
Between your flame and the oil lantern in the next room, you get a pretty nice view of the lower decks. There's probably maybe 50 people below deck.
And they're all in chains?
Well, not all of them. A fair few of them. The majority are in chains. And most are just lying on top of each other at this point. You realise you're actually being quite lucky being shoved in the aft locker.
Okay. I'll pick up the elf from the floor and step back into the room. Talking to the other two, I try and explain what I've just seen, how many people there are.
The guy in the corner goes, "Yeah, they've been slowly adding us together.
What, for the last 10 days?
The last 10 days. I was one of the first.
One at a time or groups?
Sometimes one at a time, sometimes groups. You all came in separately.
Have you seen the people that did this?
Then now and again, they kind of, interestingly, wear the royal crest.
Which royal quest?
The royal crest of Iskathar, the lovely kingdom that you were probably travelling through at the time.
So royal slavers. And
It's weird
do you
that-
know how many there are? Like, how many have you seen?
Well, there were 4 of them who brought you lot down individually. But most, I think, stay above deck. The kingdom isn't really known for slavery. It's not really quite prosperous. It's renowned for its libraries and...
Can I do a
Scholars.
wisdom check on the king, the crown? The you know what I mean?
A history check? Do
Yeah,
it.
that works.
But are you trying to recall knowledge about this kingdom, or are you trying to see if this guy's lying?
I was gonna do the first one, but now you've made me want to do the second one.
Roll a history first to see if you
Alright,
know anything.
it's a natural 19.
It's a knowledgeable crowd.
What this guy says rings true. You remember some of the adventures passing you when you in your past life, before you set out on your event looking for adventure. Mentioning about this kingdom, it was a great source of knowledge. It was generally quite a well thought of kingdom. It was not the biggest of kingdoms. It's generally prosperous. Its people were happy. It traded quite freely with the surrounding lands. Wizards, mages, and things would often go there to find knowledge about certain artifacts that they were looking into.
Can I ask him if he knows if anything's happened in the kingdom recently to change, like change of leader or something?
No, but the king's recently gone on a holy vision quest. Of course, so the people we generally worship Ogmar, the god of knowledge, and our king left on this holy vision quest to pursue this great knowledge, and left his sister in charge as lady in keeping. But she doesn't have the mind for knowledge. She much prefers the power and the coin that flows from being on the throne.
Okay, we're gonna need to work together to get off this boat. Since we don't have any more lockpicks, can I add my strength to the dwarf and see if I can rip apart the chains with him?
Sure. Try.
No strength.
Roll a strength check with advantage.
Am I also doing that?
No, it's fine because he's the one actually.
Okay.
by him aiding. You feel that you probably could if you spent like the next hour or so, kept on just trying to pry this apart, eventually be able to break them, but not right now.
Can the elf or the other man help?
I was helping. Oh wait, you mean those two?
You feel like
Not the child, the other man.
I don't think that this is the answer. We're not going to pull the chains apart.
What would you want to do?
In the other room that I fell in, is there anything that I might possibly be able to create a pick out of?
Why don't you go check? Try not to fall.
Yeah, give me perception to see if you can see anything. How far in are you going to go? Are you happily to walk down the length of the ship?
I don't know how long this room of sleeping people is in.
It's probably about.
Did you say they're chained as well?
Yeah.
I just didn't hear that either.
I'll just budge forward and walk halfway down the ship.
You're still chained. You can't. You're stuck in the room.
I am. You're
You go
right.
You go to walk. It's like okay, it's like yeah, try and follow the elf. Forgetting that you are still chained up.
I just want to walk like down.
As you walk down, you kind of find some iron tongs and things like that, but you don't feel like there's anything that you can really use to work into being lockpicks. That everything around you is a bit too chunky for the fine to be able to fit into the lock.
So there's none of the boxes.
No, this bit has been completely cleared out. There's literally nothing but bodies here. As you're walking down the ship, you kind of notice the ship swaying slightly less.
I think we're coming to port.
Can everyone give me
I'm not a sailor or anything, so swaying less would mean nothing to me.
Yeah. Can everyone give me a dexterity saving throw? Everyone who's standing up, give me a dexterity saving throw.
I just fell to the floor, so I'm not.
Okay. Suddenly, you feel a massive shift in the boat, and the boat shakes and shudders and gets thrown at a weird angle. Both of you just about manage to hold your footing. The other member of your room stumbles over, as does the dwarf, having already been thrown off balance by trying to walk with chains. Lands heavily on the floor. As soon as this happens, everything just stops. There's no swaying, no nothing. And suddenly you hear a ton of footsteps above you.
I run back into the room, pull the door to, and try and make it look like the chains are still on me and fall to the floor as those.
Okay. Give me an investigation check. You feel like you could pretty handily reattach the chains to yourself and your newfound friend, to the point where if they were attempted to be unlocked, they could fall away as if they were being unlocked again.
But I don't want to lock them back to
No. This is like, it's more so that if they look like they were going to be, if someone tried to unlock
that's
them,
what I'm.
it would feel like they've been unlocked.
Yeah, I'll let you do it, but I'll give you a questioning look.
I think they might come and see what's happening. Oh, just to be safe until the footsteps are gone.
Would it not be a better idea if I could wait by the door? If they come in, I can jump them.
You hear jangling of keys, shouting, and a very loud voice kind of booming through the bottom of the ship. Right, you maggots, it's time to get up. We didn't drag you all down here for nothing. It's time to do your work. In the distance, you hear lots of people stirring and standing up. And give me perception checks. Over the rustling of chains, the Milbert and they can't really hear much, but Baldid somehow picks up his fine dwarven hearing. Hears a sound that so sweet has been denied you as such. A satisfying.
They're unlocking everyone.
Do we want to jump them or play along for now and see what's happening?
They don't have much choice.
Would it be better to let them unlock the dwarf and the man?
Yeah.
Then we can jump them?
We'll convince them to
probably
unlock
have-
me and
they
the man
probably-
first.
They probably have weapons.
If the dwarf
As
and the man move close to the
you
door,
hear-
they'll
You hear
unlock first.
footsteps coming close to your door, and the clicking gets louder.
They're really close.
I
The
step
door
in
gets
there.
swung open, and a lantern gets thrust. Is anyone standing right next to the door?
No.
No.
Yeah. A lantern gets thrust through the doorway, lighting up your room. A hand comes in, grabs one of you. Let's say where are people standing in this room?
Phew.
I threw myself back on the ground and I was at the back already.
I haven't moved much.
So
Okay.
I'm more to the right.
Okay,
into the-
Boulder, you get grabbed, yanked forwards. You feel roughly as keys get jammed towards you. They miss the lock at first. You kind of just get poked with the keys, and then quite roughly, and then roughly jammed the lock, unlocked, and you get pushed past through the doorway. The hand reaches out again and tries to grab one of you. Are you going to resist, or are you just going to get taken?
I'm gonna get taken.
You get yanked off your, they grab your chain, yank you off your feet, you stumble forwards, they grab your lock, shove the key in, unlock it, and shove you also through the doorway. And one by one, the last two of you get your chains unlocked and shoved through the doorway. You see people are starting to move up the stairway at the far end of the ship to the next deck. And you look behind you at the guards who are wearing full plate mail with an interesting insignia on their chest, and you get yourself feel yourself being shoved towards the front of the ship.
I mean, more like kicked based on my height, right?
But, yeah.
Do I recognise the insignia? As in, when I was taken,
Whoa.
were they in front? Would it
You
have been-
remember very clearly this insignia as it is the one of the group of guards, the soldiers that were at your capture. These aren't the same guards. These guys are far better armored than the ones that you had previously met with.
Okay.
You recognize it pretty much instantly as from the kingdom of Iskathar, as you remember traveling into this kingdom as part of your travels. Furthermore, you kind of, although you recognize the symbol slightly off. It's not so much off as there is a symbol, but there's also an extra emblem. The word I'm going to go for that. I can't think of the word I want. Emblazoned on their overcoats, I suppose.
As we walk, I turn to one of the guards and ask where we're going.
You don't need to know. He just shoves you in the back, pushing you further forward. As you make your way up through the ship, you realise that you've been in the very, very, very bottom of the ship. The next layer up, you see rows of hammocks and things. So you can see a couple of sailors kind of getting some shut-eye. You shove through this deck. You notice some there aren't many cannons. There are a few cannons just nestled in the side of the ship. As you get closer and closer towards the deck, this sounds like there's a bit of panic now going on top of the ship. And the guards behind you kind of look at each other, a bit confused, and start hovering you along a bit more.
Can I do an insight to read their body language?
Sure. Apart from the fact that they kind of seem a bit confused as to why there's panic up on deck, you don't really get more than that. But you feel that they know something's wrong. As you get towards the front of the ship again, there's no back of the ship now because you're going back through this deck. There's shafts of light going through this stairway. And as you come up through the stairway, can everyone give me a perception check? Boulder, you're initially blinded, you can't really see much. Being down below, it's quite dark. You You see people running around on deck. You see a couple of bodies on the floor. No, but you kind of look up past the ship and see that there's a town in front of you. But some of the buildings in the town are on fire. There are people running in around amongst the town. You can hear distant shouting and screaming.
Do I recognise the town?
Not really. There, you look around, the bodies on the floor, some of which being struck with arrows. The
Bodies
town,
on the floor of what? The boat?
the ship.
Or...
Yeah. As you look across the town, you can see the town has a sort of palisade wall around it, and in places you can see the palisade has been broken. There's some of the buildings in the town are on fire. You can see small skirmishes going on throughout this town.